I think it's 12 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everyone to our July JEA Board of Directors meeting and I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask you to stand for a moment of reflection and pledge to the flag, please. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Oh, there's Big Jim.
Must be 12 o'clock now.
That's 12. That's
There we
Big
go.
Jim. Big
I
Jim.
apologize for starting 1 minute early. I would like to ask Ms. Brooks to call the roll, since we have people all over the place today. We'll call the roll and, for the record, establish the quorum. Ms. Brooks?
So, Ms. Kessler, are you on the telephone?
Yes, I am.
All right. And Mr. Cumber, are you on the telephone?
Yes, I am.
And we have Mr. Jones, we have the chairman, Mr. Petway, and we have Ms. Flanagan, and we have Mr. Howard present. I'm sorry, I wasn't anticipating doing the roll call, but we have 4 present at the meeting, so we have a quorum present. 2 members are on the telephone, so we can proceed with the meeting as planned.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, everyone, for being here, and thank you, Dolores and Hussein, for joining us via the phone. Would like to remind everyone to please turn your cell phones down. However, we have such a small crowd, you might be able to use them today and get away with it. Might try it. And I would like to remind everyone that we are streaming live for the benefit of our customers and the public to watch our meeting today. And I would like to move to 1E and ask our CEO, Paul McElroy, to give us a safety brief. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Safety is most important at JEA. We start every meeting with a safety briefing. In the event that we are called to evacuate the room for one reason or another, we'll go to the elevator bank there, and to the left are stairs. We'll take the stairs, not the elevator, down to exit the building, and we will gather on the southeast corner in the open parking lot. I would ask you to check the person to your right. That person will be your safety buddy. Make sure that that individual gets out safely with you, and Doc will take care of you. We have, for 911 and security, Mike Brost will call, and Mike will also make sure that if anyone needs CPR, that we get that handled effectively. For guests, restrooms are off to my left, your right, and that concludes the briefing.
Thank you. Any questions? Ms. Brooks, would you please review our Sunshine Law public record statement for us?
Mr. Chair, the meeting has been publicly noticed. It's being recorded, and minutes are being taken in compliance with the Florida statutes.
Thank you, ma'am. We have comments from the public. I don't think we have them. 2B, we do not have Craig Anderson as our liaison with the council here today, I don't think.
He was maybe going to make it in between meetings, Mr. Chairman.
We'll keep an eye out for him. Well,
Actually, here he is. Look at that, right on time.
Timing.
Mr. Anderson, you have just been introduced, and as you have a seat, as you approach the table, so you've already been introduced as our council liaison, and if you have a few words of hello or welcome, you have the floor, sir.
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. I've enjoyed working with JEA, and very proud of the management team and the board. Made some great progress. Quickly, the mayor presented his budget to us yesterday at 9 o'clock. It's a budget that reflects his priorities of public safety and continued investment in infrastructure. Really, most of the conversation was around the pension reform initiative, which seems to be moving along. Council is back from its 2-week recess and getting set in our new schedules, which have been changed and we're sort of filling them out right now. I want you to know that I requested this position. I want you to know that I was very interested in working with this board and look forward to working with you in the future.
Very good, and thank you for being here, and thank you for those kind remarks. We in turn have enjoyed working with you, and we're looking forward to the new leadership at the council, and we'll miss you and your leadership team. We had a great year with you as our president, and we appreciate that, and we're looking forward to continuing that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions of Councilman Anderson? No?
Did you approve the mayor's budget yesterday?
We have about 2 months' worth of work before we get to that point. But, so far, so good.
The mayor tried.
He did.
He did ask.
Next item is the liaison from the mayor's office. We'd like to welcome Dr. Johnny Gaffney today and tell him that he now has the floor. Dr. Gaffney.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have
Nothing to report?
Other than, as I've said before, I just want to let everybody know that today's the mayor's birthday. We just had birthday.
Yeah. Please convey our wishes to him. Our birthday wishes to him. The representative from Nassau County is not with us either, I don't think. We were not expecting him. And before we move to E, I'd like to go back and approve the adoption of the agenda that we're working on here. Somebody would move, and
So moved.
have a motion in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
every so we're now on 2E. Ask Monica Whiting to please step forward with her presentation. Our Chief Customer Officer. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So today I'm here to, and I'm pleased to present and share with you JEA's final results in both our residential and business customer satisfaction surveys with J.D. Power for 2016. I apologize, this was not in the book in advance. Hopefully you have hard copies to read along because the results for J.D. Power came out after the agenda was needing to be prepared.
And Monica, if I may, for those on the phone, we're in the process of emailing that to you now if you have access, and we apologize if you don't.
Okay. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. So in summary, we started this year with the goal of achieving first quartile in our ranking for J.D. Power customer satisfaction for our electric services in both residential and business. As you know, we far exceeded our goal for the business market, earning not only the top quartile, but JEA's first ever J.D. Power trophy, earning the top ranking for the South Midsize. I will also add that we were ranked as the highest Florida utility in the business market, the highest ranked utility in the entire nation for the business market, and we're deeply proud and honored for that. Our results for the residential market for 2016, they were strong. They were, again, had very positive movement forward. JEA moved up 11 points compared to where it finished in 2015. And for our first time ever, performed over 700 in the index with a total score of 703. We grew in every driver. from our customers, and I'll share that information more. However, despite that really fantastic performance, we are 2 points shy from hitting our goal of top quartile. And that is because we are among the best of the best now, and we've talked about that, and it's much more challenging to make those big strides in movement forward when you're amongst the folks who have really operated in the top quartile for some time and really work hard to not lose that spot, and we're trying to gain those spots. So fantastic for performance. We ended up ranked number 37 out of 137 utilities. And again, I will go through the details now to show you really the remarkable performance and growth. JEA continues to hold the second year in a row most improved utilities in the nation over 5 years. We have improved about 113 points from when we started our journey in 2012. I think one of the things that's really important to share is, I think for us, we've made this enormous movement and sometimes maybe don't completely recognize how significant it is. And when we started this journey, I remember having a conversation with some of the J.D. Power gurus and asking them, you know, when you're a utility that's in the fourth quartile, how many years does it take to build that up and get to the first quartile? And they kind of chuckled at me and they said, well, they said for some, they can accomplish it in maybe 7 to 8 years, but recognize for others, they set those goals and they can never achieve it. And it's because there is so much focus by those folks that hold those spots that they're working very hard and focused. And when you're competing, you know, really against that. So I really want to congratulate JEA's employees for this is really a really remarkable achievement, and that when you see the sustained year-over-year improvement, our goal ultimately is to earn our customers' loyalty, and what we've talked about is how you gain that loyalty is excellence and continuous improvement year over year, and so we're certainly on our way to accomplish that. When we look at the residential market, again, these are an overview for the drivers. You'll see where we started our journey is the blue line is JEA, the red line is the industry. We were well below the national average. Around 2014, we came in line with the national average, and since then have been moving ahead of the national average, and we have continued to do that this year with a point of 703. Again, we improved 11 points from 2015. This is the first year we've joined what we call the 700 Club, the utilities that have scored over 700, which I will share a couple years ago, there were no utilities that scored over 700. So that really shows the movement and focus of the utility industry and becoming more customer-centric. And we are the most improved utility over the past 5 years. When you look at each individual driver, we tried to give a one-page snapshot to see the journey that we have had for every driver. Again, what you'll see is since we started our journey in 2012, every driver has improved. Every driver has moved from below the national average to above the national average. The drivers have improved from 90 to 163 points difference, which is really remarkable. We have landed in the first quartile for 3 of the drivers, and that would be billing and payment, communications, and customer service. And we are in the top part of the second quartile for power quality and reliability, price, and corporate citizenship. When we look at 2015, where we ended 2015 and where we ended 2016, our biggest areas of movement were in price, specifically efforts to help manage monthly costs and fairness in pricing. In power quality and reliability, keeping customers informed about their outages, and we hope to see that continue. We have some big initiatives that we're continuing to advance in that area, and providing quality electric power. And in communications, communicating how to be safe around electricity and efforts to communicate changes. It's also worth noting in the customer service driver, we were highlighted on J.D. Power's website as one of the best in class, specifically with our website and our online presentment, our automated telephone, and our phones with our employees and our customers. So when you combine those, we were considered best in class. Since we're wrapping up the year altogether, I put a slide also in here similarly for the business market. You can see all the same trends. Sustained year-over-year improvement in every driver. Some of these changes a bit more remarkable. These drivers changed from 87 points to 215 points from when we started this journey, with communications being the biggest significance. We did end every driver in the top quartile nationally for the business market. And for 2016, 215 comparison, communications, power quality and reliability, corporate citizenship, and price were our big movers. So again, really remarkable success. And I could not take this opportunity to not show our beautiful trophy one more time. And in recognizing this year our employees, and very grateful to our customers for their recognition of the highest customer satisfaction amongst the South mid-sized utilities, highest score in all 6 drivers for our region, tied for the highest utility, ranked utility in the nation, and the most, and then of course the highest in Florida. So again, this is a chart we show every month. So we wanted to put it in here. It just shows our, in one snapshot, the steady year-over-year improvement and our growth. And then, Mr. Chairman, you asked a couple meetings ago about the Florida ranking, so we went ahead and put that in there for you so that you can see from the Florida utilities where JEA falls in the residential and the business market. And then in conclusion, what are our next steps? This really closes out our residential and business studies for 2016. 2017 study fielding is actually underway already. We will have for you either in August or September our first wave of our business results. It really will just depend on when we get the results in from J.D. Power and our ability to turn that around to present. And then we expect our first wave for residential studies to come in October. Our analytics team is currently analyzing all of our data, understanding the voice of the customer through that. And as we do every year, that information will be used to make alignments to our strategy and our work plan moving forward so that we can continually improve on behalf of our customers and our community.
Thank you. Questions? Comments? Well, I want to say, again, how proud I am of the JEA. JEA, and this is exemplary here of the performance that we have here from the 2,300 associates that come to work every day and our executive staff. This is something to be proud of. I don't want to get ahead of the agenda here, but I want to make sure that you respond to this and talk about what's next and how we sustain and maintain this quality that we have. Obviously, best in class, and something to be very proud of. So you want to keep that to your comments, or you want to jump in now?
Well, I'll jump in now. I think that the organization has built a framework that sort of crosses organizational boundaries to really focus on serving customers and building loyalty. It's core to our approach to doing business, and we're gonna continue. And later this week we've got the executive team together, and that's going to be part of my talk with them, and staying focused on building customer loyalty and the other 2 strategies. But that's never going to change, and we have to seek ways to improve. We're going to continue to focus and have teams on all 6 of the drivers, and not try to play with one or the other, or not just try to go out with a big promotion to influence the way people think and respond to the survey. And so both between Monica's team, and she has cross-functional teams, is not just in Monica's area, Mike's area, Brian's area, from an operational standpoint, have very significant impacts on power quality. We're going to continue with the CME 5 focus in terms of reliability in the distribution. We're going to continue to invest in those areas. And from a customer standpoint, we have some big things coming out in the next couple of quarters in terms of power quality and reporting outages and communicating directly with our customers. I think we'll get a good lift there. And we made the conscious decision 4 years ago now, actually 3 years ago, that the JEA.com is our front door. That is where we will be going forward. Bricks and mortar and the interface is going to be less and less as we serve our customers, and more on the electronic platform through JEA.com. So we're going to continue to invest and grow and develop that. And we've got some exciting opportunities and projects on that to take the next step in terms of making sure that that does fit with the mobile devices of the future for our customers. And that's upwards of mid 20% now are just accessing just with mobile devices. So we'll continue to focus in those areas too.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Monica.
Great, thank you very much.
Great job. We have a revised, amended agenda that I think a couple of items changed around or were eliminated on the consent agenda, but you have the consent agenda in front of you there. Any questions or changes to the consent agenda, or could I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
Move approval of the consent.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. We'll move to strategic discussions and action, a monthly operational and financial review. Paul McElroy, please. Paul?
And Mr. Chairman, second to last section in the book. And this is the summary review that we had talked about in the last couple of months. And we'll start with the first page. Look at, flip, there we go. In the water and wastewater operations, notice that we have a couple of red dots there that I'll speak to. First is safety. We had a run over the last 4 weeks or so on a number of, I'll call them minor incidents, some slips, trips, and falls, a few sprains, nothing that really bordered on even a risk of a significant accident that moved the number up. So we're looking at a forecast now of 188 versus a goal of 120. The goal of 120 is something that we put in place, it's almost a decade ago now, and we hit it 1 year, and we continue to hold that as sort of the high water mark for us to achieve. It's important to recognize that 4 plus is the utility standard, and when we look at municipal utilities and municipal departments, public works, et cetera, it's in excess of 6. So while we're not thrilled with the 188 in the context of overall utility performance, it still is a good number in the context of municipal operations, both utility scale and public works. It's outstanding. We have, and I put in place a couple of weeks ago now, we've got about 15 safety critical areas in the department, and each morning at 8 o'clock, we're having a safety stand-down call-in. I'm on the phone with the folks, and Angie Pires leads the conference call, and we get a readout in terms of past 24 hours, next 24 hours, and making sure that the messaging and the work being set up for the day is being set up in a way to be performed safely. Clearly, this time of year we're at risk in terms of weather, both just the heat, but also the storms in the afternoon too, in terms of safety incidents for our folks. So we have an extreme focus on this. We're talking about it utility-wide on a daily basis, and we plan to continue that for a while, maybe get back to a weekly update. In terms of the sanitary sewer overflows, essentially the same story. We've got a pretty aggressive goal here. This, even at 30, we're best in class when we look at the EPA standards for the sanitary sewer overflows. Given the miles of pipe that we have, The number should be closer to 4 times in terms of their standard. So it's an outstanding performance at 30. That's a goal that we've established over time. We'll continue to strive that. We hit that a couple of years, and that, again, is a high water mark. We are fortunate that we've had most of the overflows have been small in the amount, and this doesn't indicate a problematic in the system. The system's still performing well. Go to the next page. On the electric system, is essentially the same story on safety. The other red dot there is the CME 5, and I would just point to the goal that we established this year was 1.5. Last year was 2.1. So we're a little better than last year performance, but did not reach the 1.5, which would get us closer to the industry standard. We had a little setback in some storms. We're learning as we go through and really adopt this standard. It's a couple of years in our system now in terms of putting that metric out there and performing against it. It is new for municipals. It's mostly an investor-owned larger utility uses this as a metric. So we're learning as we go. I think we might have been a little aggressive at the 1.5, but nevertheless, we've got year-over-year performance, which is better. And then looking at the financial results, we try to incorporate here in the financial results the same metrics that we have historically shared at our annual review with the rating agencies in terms of each year we tell them what we're going to do, what the performance metrics will be on a forecasted basis for the next 12 months, and then when we meet with them, we compare and share with them how well we did. And so when we look here, we're pretty much in line with every metric. We have a little challenge this year in some of the cost metrics. On the electric side, the non-fuel per megawatt hour metric, we had indicated $49.44. Looks like we'll be a little bit above that. We have 51.78 here. If this weather keeps up, we think we'll be closer to $50 per megawatt hour for non-fuel. In the small parentheses there, when we set these goals in 2012, so our cost structure, overall cost structure, had a number in there of $54.74. So we have driven that number down to last year's outstanding performance of essentially $49.45 and set the metric to improve another penny this year. And this year we've run into a higher capital spend and the Brandy Branch outage, which has pressured that metric. On the water sewer side, same story in terms of the water cost per K-gallon. Originally established in 2012 of $4.57. We're projecting $4.40 up from last year. Most of that, again, is capital driven. The capital program is up almost double this year, what it's been running the last number of years and having an impact on that metric. So that concludes my review, Mr. Chairman. So you have any questions?
Questions? Thank you, Paul. B2 is Jacksonville Small and Emerging Business Program. John McCarthy is with us. John, welcome. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So in your board materials is information on Jacksonville Small and Emerging Business Program. We call this the JSEB program. Sometimes we say JSEB. And we also included our rationale for using this program since its adoption in 2004. For this presentation, we'll expand on this material and discuss some of the other supplier diversity programs used in Jacksonville. We'll review the results of a multi-jurisdictional disparity study and the efforts that came out of that study. And we'll conclude with a short video with highlights of one of JEA's JSEB outreach events that was hosted in collaboration with other Jacksonville agencies. These agencies, you'll see they're represented on this slide through a group we've branded the Supplier Diversity Joint Agency Task Force. You'll see that in the middle. And the agencies around the task force, JEA, JTA, Jacksport, the city, Jacksonville Aviation Authority, and Duval County Schools. The Career Source of Northeast Florida, you see there in the bottom right-hand side of this slide, and they're one of the small business partners that the Supplier Diversity Joint Agency Task Force has been partnering with and working with. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So there are different supplier diversity programs used by Jacksonville agencies, and which program an agency uses largely depends on its source of funding. The JSEB program has been in place since 2004. It is open to minorities and non-minorities, and eligibility is based on not exceeding annual revenue and owner's net worth thresholds, and maintaining a personal or business residence in Duval County. Essentially, it is a local small business program. The city manages the program, and other agencies, including JEA, JPA, and JAA, have adopted the JSEB program. Disadvantaged, minority, women, and small business enterprise programs are state and federal programs used by JTA and Duval County Schools here in Jacksonville. The primary differences between these programs and JSEB is that these programs have race and gender conscious elements in their programs, and eligibility is not always limited to local companies. So through its competitive RFP process, the city selected Mason Tillman consulting firm to complete a disparity study, which was required by city ordinance when the JSEB program was initiated in 2004. The city, most of its agencies, and Duval County Schools participated in the study. What the disparity study work involved was identifying the demographics of the pool of available and capable vendors who could perform JEA work. Then they looked at the work contracted out by the city agencies and tried to see if the utilization was proportional. And overall, the study reported that there was an underutilization of the of the minority and women-owned businesses. The study also recommended the city add race and gender conscious elements to its program, and these recommendations were never implemented. Mr. Jones mentioned that at our last meeting. So we had the disparity study. We did not change the fundamentals of the program, but the city agencies got together to try to take the recommendations and try to improve the contracting opportunities for our minority and women-owned business, and we formed a joint agency task force at the direction of the city agency CEOs. Our first meeting was held in November of 2013. We've enjoyed strong participation from the 5 city agencies, Duval County Schools, and our 4 small business partners, Jack's Chamber, First Coast Business Alliance, Small Business Administration, and Career Source of Northeast Florida. The task force has been meeting regularly since 2013. Our purpose is to operate as one supplier diversity community that leverages resources, shares best practices, and provides one-stop shopping for small, minority, and women-owned businesses that have an interest in pursuing work opportunities in Jacksonville. Our work is centered on the 4 common goals shown on this slide that came out of the disparity study, which I'll just read: increase the pool of available bidders, increase participation on contracts, improve the public perception of city agency procurement, and standardize business processes to make contracting easier where possible. So since we've started to meet, a significant amount of our efforts have been focused on community outreach. And we've had some events where all the agencies host the events together, and we all take part in the agenda. And we have other events where one agency hosts the outreach events and the other agencies come. We've had 3 of the jointly hosted events, and we've had, you'll see on here, 10 of the individually hosted events where the other agencies participate. The first bullet, doing business with JEA workshop, was done at JEA in the evening. We had great participation, and it's a good example to see how we've collaborated on this, and we've got a short video just to show you how that went. Play the video.
Small, women, and minority business owners, the Doing Business with JEA Evening Seminar was a chance to network and to learn how to get work with JEA.
When you're a small business owner, you wear many hats, so it's hard to network during the day. So to do these after-hour events gives us the opportunity to show our wares.
Attendees learned about JEA's expectations from its contractors.
We every day have our value system of safety, service, growth squared, integrity, and accountability. And you're going to be expected to participate in those value systems to be successful as well.
And they learned about JEA's bidding process.
Understand our informal process and make contact with the procurement agent. So you are on that bidders list, so you will get those informal solicitations when that work goes out. It's up to $300,000, so it can be a significant amount of work. And for the formal solicitations, please look at our website. Please come to the mandatory pre-bid meetings, bring your business cards, and work on developing those relationships.
Attendees received a list of JEA projects that will open soon for bids.
There's a huge amount of work: painting, paving, pest, generators, window cleaning, roof maintenance, all of that.
Representatives from the Joint Agency Task Force, which includes the city, its independent agencies, and Duval County Public School System, participated in the seminar. Attendees called the seminar extremely useful.
I would like to thank JEA for inviting us to this format and seminar, and I hope to look forward and attending many more as we continue to move forward to get a foothold in by securing the contract.
Attendees wrote down their questions and will soon be getting answers.
It will take us a few weeks to comb through your questions with the right people and get answers back. But what we promise is for every email address we have, we'll be sending each of you the questions and the JEA answer.
To learn more about JEA's monthly seminar for small and emerging businesses, visit jea.com/JSEP.
So I gave an extended version of this presentation I gave today to City Council committee meetings in April, and they appreciated the work that we've done in this collaborative effort. They had very similar questions to as the JEA Board did last month in terms of why some of the agencies use one program, the JSEP program, and other agencies use other programs, and why the city's program is race and gender neutral, and the disadvantaged business programs have some elements of race and gender in them. And so very similar. We referred those questions to OGC, and they're working on those. So in conclusion, and as in the materials, in your board materials, the JSEP program is the only small business program currently available to JEA that is legally supported by the Office of General Counsel. JEA's senior leadership is fully engaged and committed to this important program, and we've had solid results since we've implemented it in 2004. And as I've said earlier, we provide an annual report to each year on the performance of the program. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, John. Questions, comments? Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr.
Chairman?
Hussein.
I just had one question, and Paul, maybe I didn't hear it correctly, but I heard something about a preference for companies that are headquartered in Duval, I thought is what was mentioned. And given the fact that our territory is larger than Duval County, is there any conflict to giving a preference for companies that are headquartered in Duval versus any other part of our territory?
So the question, eligibility is restricted to companies with their headquarters in Duval County, or if their personal residence is in Duval County. I haven't fielded that question, and I'm looking at Jody right now, Jody, through the chair to
From a
council.
local preference perspective, it may be from a local preference. It can be within the territory, the service territory of JEA. But I believe, because we follow the city's program under JSEB, it's limited to Duval County. So I need to look at that. We can look at that as from a preference perspective on the increase it to JEA's territory.
Good question, Mr. Comer. We'll pursue that.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Thank you, John. Well done. The next item, 3C, open discussion, is a new agenda item that I asked Paul to put on the agenda, primarily because we don't get to talk much to each other. And when we come to these meetings, we have our agenda in front of us, and our conversation between the board members is limited to the agenda. So what I wanted to do today is maybe have a conversation with the board about anything that might be on your mind, or anything that we might not have here that we should have here, or just general conversation to kind of move things along as far as individual input is concerned. I feel like we're constrained to some extent when we just are strictly going down the agenda and checking off the items that we're dealing with here. So I'll start off, and y'all think about if there's anything on your mind that you want to talk about, from things like Warren Jones running for the school board to security in this organization, which of course security is on everybody's mind. I spend a lot of time with Paul, talking to Paul, either on the phone or in lunch or meetings in his office. He comes to my office, so we spend a lot of time talking to each other. I know he talks to y'all. I know what you're thinking about and what you and the CEO are communicating about. But I think we have good dialogue. I know we have good dialogue with that system. I like to think I'm a great communicator, and it stifles progress when I can't communicate. I don't do as well when I can't communicate. So just bear with me and think about some things that I might not have on my list. Let me just run down my list real quick. Paul and I talk about security. I think security here is where it needs to be. I know we're looking at it all the time. It is a big machine that we run. We have a vast territory, if you will, of complexes, and security is more and more significant in everybody's daily lives. And I think our CEO would agree that we're right on top of that and preparing for everything. The septic tank project was mentioned in the mayor's delivery yesterday, Mr. Anderson, at the budget presentation. The city is very proud of this program. I'm very proud of this program. I know the executive core is, and the board is. I guess I hadn't seen enough about that, and it's not getting out there. Maybe we just hadn't started yet. I don't know, but that's a $30 million deal. The mayor made a big point yesterday. I know the council is proud of their participation. Mr. Anderson drove through a debate to have us partner to eliminate septic tanks to the extent we can. Anybody have any news or updates or comments about how that's going, or how we might get that into the little bit more of the mainstream? Ms. Brooks.
Thank you,
You
Mr.
just
Chair.
happen to be prepared for that question?
I just happen to have the septic tank phase-out prioritization matrix that
All
the
right.
team has been working on for the past several months after the interagency agreement was secured, and this is going to be filed tomorrow, the legislation to revise Chapter 751 of the ordinance code for the city. So the legislation is being prepared, and it's going to be filed tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And along with that legislation is a report from the working committee that is Public Works and city folks, and as well as JEA participation in creating a priority of areas, and to start first with the $30 million, the 15 from the city and the 15 from JEA to participate. Is like, what communities do you go into first? And so this priority matrix, again, will be, as part of the filing tomorrow, will come out that will list the areas that the working group believes is the priority areas to go to first.
Is that tied to proximity to the river and its tributaries?
It's got a bunch of different categorizations. The first one deals with the Department of Health's priority numbers from a failing area perspective, and then it also talks about areas within, that from TMDLs and from the nitrogen location to the water body, impaired tributaries. So there's health concerns, environmental concerns, and then also community considerations that are part of the matrix number as well. So a lot of work has gone into the spreadsheet.
Yeah, and that was one of the concerns when we looked at it a few years ago, because you're closer to the river, you got a priority no matter whether the tank was failing or not. Whereas some of your low-income neighborhoods that had failing tanks were low on the priority list. So hopefully the committee looked at that. I know Teresa Agner and I worked on that to make sure that we kind of even that out.
Sure.
Yeah, we had there's community considerations that were being talked about. If it was development prior to consolidation of 68 as a factor, and then medium home values a factor, whether or not there's already existing water lines in the communities. So the elimination of future proliferation is another factor that was considered. And then the Office of Economic Development, any additional opportunities for economic development in the communities. So a lot of different considerations went into this, a lot of good thought into the process. So I think everyone will be pleased with the way that this working group has come at it. It's not just purely from an environmental perspective or a health perspective. There's also community considerations.
It's more balanced.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Comer.
So on that subject, and Paul, I meant to mention this to you yesterday. I don't know if you saw the announcement back in July, but the Treasure Coast part of the state is dealing with septic tank issues as well. And the governor in the first week of July announced that he was going to seek additional funding in his budget this year aimed at replacing septic tanks in the Treasure Coast because of the proximity to the Indian River Lagoon. And, one of the thoughts that we may want to at least have as a community is if there's going to be a debate in the legislature about putting funds towards septic tank replacement, given the fact that we have the St. Johns River, this may be something that we, along with the city, may want to engage in Tallahassee and see whether or not there's a way to enhance the dollars that we are partnering with the city and putting towards septic tanks, and seeing whether there'd be additional money from Tallahassee if this is going to actually get some legs this year.
Thank you, Hussein. Mr. Hightower is nodding his head, so I assume that will be an agenda item.
I was, I think I read that same article, Hussein, at the same time you did, and had that same thought that we've got to jump in there. So I appreciate that. But that said, certainly from the board's perspective, and really the council, as we make this a larger issue, if there's opportunities to engage with thought leaders in Tallahassee, then I think it certainly would be appropriate that we would get our share of that funding, or the funding that might be made available.
For the benefit of the folks watching this on our streaming live program, that was our attorney, Jody Brooks, that had that answer in her hip pocket. Well done.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
That's
if I may.
impressive.
It was impressive, I'm telling you. And I promise you, we didn't organize that.
I was trying to call Mr. Howard, Mr. Allen earlier today, so hopefully I made up for it.
I think also, to the extent that we have the opportunity to speak in Tallahassee, let's not forget the jobs component of septic tank phase-out. Because when we look at utility and public works work, there is no greater labor-intensive project type than sewer and water extension. So this type of investment on behalf of the state, if it's matched from the local community, provides an environmental lift, public health, environmental, business opportunity, and jobs. And so I think that's an important thing to go as we carry this forward.
Thank you. Well, I know y'all are still thinking about what you want to talk about, so I'm going to go ahead and get one or two or more off of my list, okay, and then we'll go around the table. The referendum, the most important referendum that is August 30th, will be covered by our CEO in a moment. But that is on everybody's mind, and certainly we understand the significance of that. And we need to do our part, and my humble opinion is we are doing our part, and Paul will give you a little bit of insight into that. The New York City meetings, we had a highly successful trip last year with Mr. Anderson in our delegation. I'm lobbying for the same group to go back, Mr. Anderson, so you might hear from me or someone soon. When you have a winning combination, you shouldn't change anything.
Worked out pretty well.
So we had an outstanding trip last year, and we're, as you might expect, we're expecting the same again this year. So that's kind of in the wind, and we've got the dates, got it on the mayor's calendar, and need to get it on your calendar and talk to you as well. But that's the rating agencies we're talking about. Most important part of our work is to have those agencies rate us as high as they can possibly rate any
Yes, I just want
utility.
to maybe want to manage expectations. So you said the same output. I'm not sure AAA is going to work on the electric side, but maybe a notch up.
You did pretty well.
Well, we will have high expectations, I promise.
Good.
Okay. And I want to talk about the attendance at the August board meeting, so y'all think about where you're going to be in August so we can kind of manage our way through that. We have to have 4 people sitting around the table to have a quorum. So I'm going to be here, and maybe we'll get your comment on that as we go around the table for comments. So that's kind of what I was thinking about this morning as I walked in, and I think we had a great meeting today, and I appreciate everybody being here and being on the line. Kelly, how about you? You got anything on your mind that you want to comment on?
Mr.
Ms.
Chair,
Flanagan.
thank you. Those dates work for me. I'll be here in this chair.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. Mr. Jones.
I plan to be here. I may be out and about, but I'll be here.
Okay.
But I also want to, going back to the J.D. Power Award, some of us who've grown up here in Jacksonville have seen an evolution from where there's an effort to know JEA and Clay to now where we're one of the best utilities in the state of Florida, not the country. So hats off to Paul and his staff and the employees for the outstanding job they've done, because we have come a long ways.
Well said. Mr. Howard, just returning from Colorado River safely. We're glad you're back, sir.
Glad to be back safely, Mr. Chairman. The August date works fine for me. I also think about security in the dangerous times we live in, and while a detailed discussion may not be appropriate for a sunshine meeting, I'd certainly like to know that we have plans in place for security, both physical and cyber security, and that those are routinely vetted and tested against, and just maybe a general statement to that effect, give this board member some reassurance, comfort. We're doing that, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, that's good.
Good. Just wait for my cue. And I really appreciate your starting comment that in terms of being able to fully vet, especially on the cyber side, and to some extent physical, but on the cyber side, we are more than happy to have a sit-down meeting with individual board members and go through the levels of security that we have in place both in terms of security, and it is a combination. It's sort of, even in the cyber aspect, it is physical, it's the cyber software and structure, the architecture of the system, and checks and balances. The people that we have surveilling the system on a 24-hour-a-day basis are people watching to keep the bad guys out, as well as some of the behavioral and individual things we do with training and monitoring our own employees and their activities. So I think we have, when we compare and benchmark outstanding security on the bulk electric system, we meet all the standards and constantly reviewed by the regulators, receive high marks for what we have in place. On the physical side, I think the same can be stated as well. I think we have good physical. We spend a considerable amount of money just purely on security. It approaches about $10 million a year between both sides, but it's money well suited, well invested.
Thank you.
But it's a sort of a standing invitation to anyone on the board to come in, and I think we can do it probably an hour to 90 minutes and give a really a thorough review of certainly the cyber.
I get shorter answers than that.
It's all good, Chief.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you,
We
Mr. Chairman.
we have with us today, and we'll have with us monthly for the foreseeable future, Councilman Greg Anderson, and he is the official liaison appointed by President Boyer.
That's correct.
To be with us, and we look forward to having you join us each month.
I look forward to it.
And we would appreciate any input you might have this morning.
Again, I want to just reiterate how appreciative I am and the council is of each of your efforts. This is an organization that continues to improve. A lot of strategic initiatives we've been talking about, but they're starting to really come to fruition. Right. And I agree with you, Mr. Chairman. The septic tank initiative is something that we worked very hard together to really put in place. And if we could leverage the initiatives out of Tallahassee, we might actually see some substantial improvement. I'd like to feel that the public knows that we're making progress on that.
I think that's important. Well, as the immediate past president of the city council, we are looking forward to your wisdom in our deliberations. We really sincerely appreciate you being here and look forward to
appreciate that. Thank you.
Ms. Brooks, you have any comments for this group?
No, I thank you. I'll be here in August.
Are we doing all right?
You guys are doing all right, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't had to kick you.
Yeah.
Mr.
I moved
Chairman.
her away. We were normally a little closer to this. Moved her away today, but she couldn't kick
Mr.
me.
Chairman, I will be there in attendance in person in August.
You will be in attendance in person in August?
In August, yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I think that's good. I appreciate everybody participating in that little open discussion, and we'll try to do more of that. And now we'll see if we have any new business, which I assume we have no new business. Any old business? Any old business we need? Thank you. We'll move into our reports now and ask our CEO for his managing director report. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking at the referendum, we extended an invitation to the mayor, and the mayor graciously accepted to conduct a town hall meeting with JEA employees. So on Friday morning at 9 o'clock at the library in the auditorium, I think I've been saying 400. I've been reminded it's 391, according to the fire marshal, that will be there with the mayor to have him present the referendum and explain in detail to employees what we've done in terms of employees. We've gone and got a broad group. So we went out and did a random selection, and we have people from the outlying facilities, people from the field, people from here, and tried to balance it out and make sure that we've got the full 391 seats filled. We've got backup positions, and so we're really looking forward to it. We've talked about this a long time with the employee population I have over the number of years, but to have the mayor come, it's a great honor. We're extremely thankful that he is coming, to our knowledge, and I've asked this to a number of people that have more years at JEA. I don't know that a mayor has ever spoken to the JEA employees. So this is a big honor for us, and we're looking forward to it. A couple of other things. We did follow up. There was a question last month Mr. Cumber had on the D&O insurance policy with respect to the underlying sovereign immunity, $300,000 cap, and that is in place on these issues that may come in terms of litigation towards officers and directors. And so that's the first line of defense, and the D&O insurance is sort of a secondary line of defense in the event that someone were to pursue something further through the legislature and receive a favorable outcome. So I guess it's just an additional layer of protection that we offer, and I think it's reasonable. At one time, it was substantially more in cost, but it's come down considerably through the years. I think possibly recognition of that in the claims industry-wide. It is an insurance carrier that does a number of municipal utilities, so they have the same sort of underwriting standards nationwide, and I think we get good benefit out of it. I wanted to point to the board, and we have sort of a handout here. We didn't have an electronic copy, but it's for the Water Management District, and it's their fall, I guess, in summer and fall newsletter. And in there, in the first article, is a decade of progress since the inception of the St. Johns River Accord. And this was a river accord that the city of Jacksonville and FDEP and JEA entered into a decade ago to take nitrogen out of the river. It's been very, very successful. We reduced the nitrogen by about 65-ish%. And we were up 1,500 tons. We're this year looking about 525. So a tremendous success of working together and improving the quality of the river. And it was nice to see the recognition from the St. Johns River Water Management District as well. And then finally, we have a couple of guests with us I wanted to point out and introduce. Barry Rothschild and Liz Colombo in the back there, our bond counsel from Nixon Peabody. They do great work for us in our bond issuances, and they also are gracious enough to host us in December at their facility in New York. So thank you and welcome to Jacksonville. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And welcome to our guests. Nice to see y'all. Appreciate you being here. We are to the chair's report, and I think the chair has finished his report. Announcements. Do we have any announcements? No announcements?
I would just do that. We have the Finance and Audit Committee is in August 8th, 8 to 10. And so that's between now and the next board meeting. Right. And the next board meeting, as we see, is August the 16th, and we have a pretty clear understanding now where everybody's going to be. Just a few comments on the referendum. It's important to the JEA employees for one reason that the referendum passed, and I think they'll hear it loud and clear, and I wish all 2,300 of them could be there Friday. I will not be there, Paul. I'll be out of the city. If you'll please give my appreciation to the mayor. I appreciate it for him being there. But the $2.7 million unfunded liability, $450 million or so is JEA specific pension liability, employee pension liability, unfunded. So we are part of the problem as far as the integrity and the fiscal well-being of the pension program. We're that program, and we want to save that program. And the way to save that program is to have this extension of the sales tax. So I'm sure everybody that's there, I hope they'll be sharing what they learn. I think they will learn from the mayor the importance of this and the importance of voting for this to straighten out the pension problem in the city of Jacksonville and the JEA, which is part of the city of Jacksonville pension problem. So I'm happy we're doing that. We're doing other things to inform and educate the
people we come in contact with. And if you have an opportunity to do the same thing, I think it would be the right thing to do. If we have no further business, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you for being here.